You're telling me you're not a full-fledged lesbian? Hi, I'm Mahalia. Welcome to The Girl in the Background, where I keep you company by talking about literally anything I want. I told myself I wasn't going to wear makeup today, but obviously that didn't pan out. I'm going to talk about something that I'm really obsessed with right now, and if you know me, you already know this about me. I'm obsessed with BTS. I am an ARMY through and through. And I'm probably going to make a video about that at some point, like the how, the why, the when I got into BTS. But I love Park Jimin's newest album, Face. And I've sat with it for the last week or so. It's just been in my brain all freaking week. So let's get into it. I'm going to go track by track, dissecting and analyzing, and also just letting you know how I feel about each track. If you can't already tell, I'm obsessed with this album as a whole, but there are certain songs that I'm just I think he read my diary. I think Jimin read my diary and wrote a song about it better than I possibly could. The album starts with Face Off. Whoever this song is about, sleep with one eye open. I hope you feel foolish. The song starts with this carnival-esque sound, which is really fitting because the song centers around something that happened around a masquerade party. Now, if you didn't know, masquerades originated from Venetian carnivals back in 14th century Italy. It was a time where privacy was really hard to come by and people were judged really easily based off of their standing within society. So these parties allowed a certain kind of anonymity and equality that people weren't normally afforded. The masks allowed different class of people to mingle with each other. It didn't really matter what socioeconomic status or reputation or personality you were known for. At these parties, you could literally be whoever you wanted to be. Identities were revealed after midnight, well into the festivities when everyone is drunk from the fun of the night. Being a K-pop idol is a lot like a perpetual masquerade. You have this idol persona that you are beholden to. It's like a highly curated version of you that blurs the line between who you really are and who the public perceives you to be. Idols are held to an even higher standard than the average Western celebrity. Most are forced into getting plastic surgery and going on these really restrictive diets to uphold a very narrow sense of a beauty standard. You must be able to stand out while remaining conservative and respectable. Your talent must be perfected and flawless. And you must have the aura of a god while remaining attainable. Having a complicated life leads to mess. So your family life, your love life, your internal life must be buried. But you also have to be relatable enough to create this parasocial relationship between you and your fans that feels intimate and close. I can imagine a mask on top of a mask might ironically allow you to be yourself the most, but I can also imagine it being super suffocating. One could think of masquerade balls as the internet before the internet. Just like a masquerade mask, netizens can hide behind their digital anonymity and express whatever it is they want to express. And sometimes that freedom could lead to straight up cruelty. Jimin gets a lot of hate. A lot. Exuberant amount of hate. And I personally don't get it. To me, it just sounds like a lot of hateration. It sounds like you hate a bad bitch.
Let's say, hypothetically, I am a Barbie girl. Okay, let's even say I'm in a Barbie world. Right, so in this scenario, I would obviously know from personal experience that life in plastic is fantastic. Wouldn't it be reasonable to assume you could brush my hair and undress me literally everywhere? Imagination. You can derive from the fundamentals of basic logic that life is your creation.
Sounds like you jealous. Sounds like you're scared he's gonna steal your girl and your boy. You mad, bro? You mad? My personal theory is that Jimin doesn't really fit into a box all that neatly. And people are mad that he's literally an angel sent from above. But that, neither here nor there. This song reads like an angry, drunk text that you send to someone who really, really fucking hurt you, and is the first person that comes to your mind when you have even a drop of liquor, and you're just like, ooh, it's time to drop the facade. You're sending paragraphs after paragraphs. Probably should have left it in the notes app, but you're hurt. You know what I mean? Like, this is what that song kind of sounds like to me. It reads as like, face off, mask off, drunk words or sober thoughts. In this mask, at this masquerade party, he's able to see the subject of the song for who they really are and is able to see how much pain they have caused him. This is true vulnerability from Jimin that we don't really get to see. So being able to witness Jimin kind of go through this heartbreak, and you could feel it, that anger, that disappointment, that frustration in the song, it feels like we're finally getting to see him for the first time behind the mask. It's midnight and the masks are off. This is gonna sound so pathetic, but Interlude Dive makes me cry sometimes. Okay, hear me out. We're going from this song about taking the mask off, right? And then we go into Interlude and you can hear his public persona, him introducing himself in concert, him running on stage, him walking around in public, and then it slowly dips into him coming home. And it's quiet, and it's intimate. You hear the door close behind him, and then you hear him pouring himself a drink, and then the music behind starts to kind of fade away, and you just hear the pouring of the drink. And it's just him and this drink. So good! So good. Just going from like, okay, the masks are off, we're gonna dive, and we're gonna dive deep together. Brilliant. I'd rather be lost in the light, lost in the light. I'm out of my mind. So now we're going into like crazy. This song, I mean, there's already so much great analysis behind the music video and the choreography. Analyze both the Korean and the English version of this. The song itself seems to be based on the movie Like Crazy, of these two lovers named Jacob and Anna. Anna is from the UK, and she overstays her visa and is no longer allowed entry into the United States. And the movie tracks the breakdown of this relationship between these two due to them not being able to be in the same space together. Apparently it's one of Jimin's favorite movies, I think. And the intro and outro to the song both quote part of the movie. And I think the quotations are very much important to what the song is about. Except in this song, instead of two lovers, it's really about two versions of Jimin himself. And based off of the music video and the choreography, it's very clear that we're looking at two sides of Jimin as far as like masculinity versus femininity. So the music video kind of shows that the feminine version of Jimin is like this safe space, and I like to think of these two, this quote as, the feminine side of him saying, just trust me, we can be together. We can, the masculine version of you and me, the feminine version of you, can be together forever if we just try. But for the song itself, I think of it as his relationship to alcohol. In the Korean version, the she in the story is alcohol. Alcohol allows him to be free. He says, me reflects in the mirror. I'm going crazy without hesitation. I'm feeling so alive, wasting time. My personal experience of like being in a club, drunk and happy, I'm sure most girls can relate to this, but have you ever gone to the bathroom when you're really drunk? And you're like with a bunch of girls, everyone's complimenting each other, like, oh my god, I love your skirt, I love this, and you're like feeling so alive and happy, and then you look at yourself in the mirror and it's like this version of you that you wish could extend past tonight. It's like this version of you that like has no problems, no stress, no worries. It's the person that you see in yourself that like doesn't really have a chance to breathe in everyday life. And I feel that at this point in the song and even in the music video, he's drunk, happy off of the night and dancing alongside his feminine side and getting to express that version of him, and he sees that happiness reflected back, and it's like, God, why can't I have this past tonight? The feminine version of him seems free and beautiful, but is only accessible when he's able to drink away the night and dance away the night. But then eventually he has to return back to reality, and he's faced with this side of him that doesn't quite fit. Now, this is where we kind of get into Jimin's past with masculinity.
그때는 강한 척을 하고 싶은 아이였던 것 같고 지금은 척은 안 해도 되는 느낌인 것 같아요. 그냥 자연스럽게 얘기할 수 있는.
Jimin watches himself run away from himself by partying all night, and this feminine side comes out throughout the night when he's drunk and completely outside of himself. But that's the only time he's able to access that side of him. That's the only time that he's allowed to be that feminine. When BTS first debuted, they were forced to perform a very specific kind of masculinity, which we now deem toxic masculinity. It was also kind of rooted in a bit of like commodification of blackness. That's a whole other topic that we can always get into. But there was this definition of aggressiveness when it comes to masculinity that I think a lot of the members struggled with and kind of felt imprisoned by. And there's been a lot of growth from when they debuted to now. But I think the person that faced the most backlash and felt the most pressured had to be Jimin. When you look back at his past and a lot of the bullying that he faced throughout his career, there was this added pressure to be hyper masculine, to put away or hide the feminine soft side. Jimin has a really great grasp on like how to be cute, how to be sexy, but this is sensual. There's a sensuality, a softness in the way that he expresses himself in both choreography, in the music, and in the music videos itself. And so this kind of transition into himself of like, I'm going to play with this feminine side more and allow that to be freely expressed. That way I can have a better relationship to masculinity. Because there's only one version of masculinity that he's been able to express throughout his career. And it's this toughness, this harshness, these harsh lines and his abs and the way that he talks, the way that he walks. And it never quite felt like it fit for him. It felt like a costume. And the Jimin that we know today, I think there's been a lot of self-acceptance and self-love and a lot of internal growth that we probably aren't privy to, a lot of things that he's probably had to go through over time in accepting that. And we're finally getting to see that be freely expressed.
뭔가를 많이 하고 싶은 친구였구나 많이 느꼈고 그래서 정말 사람 됐구나 많이 느꼈고 물상이 아니에요. 물상이 아니고 네, 외형적으로는 그런 게 있는 것 같고 열심히 하더라. 감동 많이 받았어. 너가 그렇게 열심히 하려고 하는지 또 새삼 느껴지더라. 정말 뭔가 많이 보여주고 싶은 눈이었어. 근데 뭔가 좀 미안하더라. 충격적이고 어서 지금의 나로 오렴. 많은 걸 느끼게 될 거야. 화이팅.
There has been a lot of speculation on Jimin's sexuality throughout his career, and for a really long time as a fan of his, I was scared of adding to those voices. But as a queer person myself, and a person who seeks out other queer people, I automatically assume everyone around me is sexually fluid in some way. The amount of heterosexual people in my circle that have had to come out to me as straight is truly mind-boggling. I had no idea that there were so many straight people in the world. Like, you're telling me you're not a full-fledged lesbian? You're telling me you're not a homosexual? How did we find each other? So, you know, me being me, I grew very attached to Jimin, and I will make a video about my journey into BTS, but he was the first member that I, locked in on. So this isn't me saying that I always assumed he was, a little gay, or that I was making speculations on his sexuality. I think I just felt it. I think I just saw someone who felt like home to me, and I kind of accepted that and just kept moving on. You know what I mean? I never held it against him or anything like that. So as a longtime fan, you know, it truly brings me a lot of joy to see him kind of step more into himself and to his sexuality. Though he hasn't claimed a label, in the past, I want to say 2-3 years, there have been a lot of bisexual influences in his art. And so I'm going to say this with my full chest. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like he's made it very obvious now. So I'm going to say it. All hail the bi king Park Jimin. All hail bi supremacy. That's all I gotta say. Okay, let's get to my favorite part of the song. I don't know if that's gonna make the cut. We get a call back to one of my favorite BTS songs, Save Me. I believe it's Jimin's verse, the first verse in the song. I want to breathe, I hate this night. I want to wake up, I hate this dream. I'm trapped inside of myself and I'm dead. Don't want to be lonely. So in Like Crazy, instead of begging to be woken up, he's begging to stay in the dream because he realizes the dream is where he is himself the most. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and he doesn't want to wake up because when he wakes up is actually when he's truly lonely, versus, you know, back in Save Me, where I believe the song came out around the time where he was still being forced to portray this toxic masculinity. It's like that feminine side of him is the dream, and he doesn't want to look at it. He wants to be able to perform as, you know, the masculine side of him. But now it's like it's suffocating. It's smothering him, and he wants to stay in this dream forever. But then, unfortunately, he gets woken up, and he's alone. And then the song ends, and we go into my favorite track, Alone.
Day and night 반복되는 fall bad twilight 외면하지만 day and night 반복되는 fall
Alone is my favorite, and so is Lonely from Indigo by RM. And I don't know what these boys are trying to tell me. I am just going to read the English translation of the lyrics to you guys because I relate so much to this song. It's actually really bad. Verse 1, everyone laughing at me. It makes me feel scared. I tried to run away. The same you who lost your way. In the pre-chorus, he says, I've been thinking about what I'm doing. Why is it only me? No, everyone's like that. I'm pretending to be okay every time. I'm so pathetic. Literally my journal, literally my diary. I feel like he went through my diary. So now Jimin is alone, and he has to face himself and face the consequences of the night, drunk, asleep, with all of these negative thoughts swirling in his head. And there's like a back and forth conversation that's happening of, you're alone, you're lonely, but no, I can't be the only one going through this, but I feel so alone, feel so cold, and the night feels so long. Alone gives me the same feeling that I feel when I'm struggling to fall asleep. Like, all of those heavy thoughts that just bombard you in the middle of the night, I feel that in this song of just like, I'm trying to just close my eyes and look away, but all of my past mistakes, all of the things that I said or didn't say, all of the ways I forced myself to be someone I wasn't, they all come into the forefront. And there's nothing that feels so lonely than being awake in the middle of the night. Just pure, unadulterated loneliness. And that shit is so dark and so deep. But it also can be very transformative because you're forced to face yourself. And from this point on, we can only assume that through being with himself, he's able to reconcile all of these different versions of himself that has led to this more realized sense of self. Before the track alone, he's kind of walking us through all the ways that he's like running away from himself and trying to drown out the noise, trying to drown out the hurt and the pain of being an idol, being heartbroken by someone he loves, being not being able to freely express who he is because of his public image. He now has to face all of that in this bad twilight, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it's like, damn, how long can I endure this? Like, it's a kind of pain that one has to go through a major metamorphosis, but it can suck you in places that just will break you. Like he says in like Crazy, this is gonna break me. And sometimes you do have to break in order to become anew. And I feel like Alone is him kind of journaling out and expressing that being broken apart in this loneliness.
It set me free. 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 It set me free.
Set Me Free Part 2 is probably his favorite track, and I can hear it. First of all, I think this was the first like snippet that we heard before the track was released, and we were kind of watching Jimin like write out, some of the lyrics to this, and all over ARMY Twitter, people were like, oh my god, he's cursing. And if you're not familiar with K-pop, particularly with BTS, this isn't to say that they don't curse or that they keep themselves PG. A lot of their discography is adult because of, they're grown men. But we never get to see Jimin like this. We never get to see him say, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to the Black Choir in Set Me Free. Y'all did the damn thing. Shout out to P Dog. I feel like I'm giving a Grammy speech. I would like to thank the Academy. From what I've seen, a lot of Jimin haters call him insecure, petty, attention seeking, blah, 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 blah. To me, that just makes him more human. He lives in a society, guys. No, he lives in a society that's super homophobic, transphobic, scared of things that don't fit into a particular mold. People make fun of his voice because they say that it's pitchy or unstable or too high pitched. But his voice is very, I don't want to say angelic because that will show my bias, but his voice has a very feminine quality to it, let's say. It's not traditionally masculine in the way that like someone like Namjoon sounds. He has a way higher range that I think a lot of people don't really allow him to play with. A lot of people, it takes people a little bit of time to get used to that sound, especially coming from a male voice. You know what? The proof is in the pudding. Let me just play you a clip of him singing Serendipity.
너의 꽃으로 기다렸던 것처럼 우리 시리 더럽혀 어쩌면 우지의 섭리 그냥 그랬던 거야 You know I know 너는 나
I'm sorry, you're telling me that's a shitty voice? Please. Now, a lot of people gave hate towards the autotune use, but I think it was so strategic because, like I said before, one of the, I guess, criticisms against Jimin is his voice, his unstable, pitchy voice, often compared to his other vocal line members such as Jungkook or Jin, or even his best friend Taehyung. Out of all of them, he gets the most hate for his voice, and I feel like this is him being like, my voice is what it is, and not only is what it is, but I get to play with it. I get to fuck around with it. And you can like it or you can get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, you love it or hate it, it doesn't matter. It's my form of expression. And he owns it. Like, he's high, he's low. Like, there's so much range vocally in this particular song. And I can see why, like, this is the song that he decided to release as a single. I know a lot of solo stans and a lot of fans were upset that this was the song that was released because it vocally doesn't showcase him right. It kind of, I guess, validates some of the criticisms or whatever insecurity you have about it. At the end of the day, Jimin is no longer insecure about it. This song basically summarizes the point of the album. This is him showing his face. You know, we start off with Face Off, then we dive deep with him. We go through the motions of him trying to run away from himself. We go through the motions of his loneliness. And now we get to see him come out of his cocoon and become the Jimin that we know and love today. I mean, like, who he is today is all thanks to who he was yesterday. And I feel like Set Me Free is kind of like the period at the end of the sentence of, like, period. Throughout most of his career, I mean, he's been fighting against these stereotypical masculine ideologies. He's always been someone who's been warm and loving and tender. I think that's a really great word to, like, encapsulate Jimin, is that he's tender and fun, honestly. And he brings a lot of that energy into BTS. We get to see him be playful and cute and sexy and reminiscent, but we never get to see him be, like, full on, like, fuck you in, like, his own way. Not in, like, the toxic masculine way that he was forced to be in the beginning of his career, but in, like, this melding of gender fluidity and owning his sexuality and owning himself and owning his flaws, his insecurity, his pain. He's able to say fuck you. And I heavily relate to that. I am someone who, because of my voice and because of my resting kind face, people don't recognize that I can hold a lot of anger, I can hold a lot of resentment, and when I'm letting it simmer over time and it kind of just spills into something else, it's like people are like, whoa, 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 where is this coming from? And I'm just like, fuck society, fuck the people who've traumatized me, fuck the people who've abandoned me, fuck the people who disappointed me. I'm gonna be censoring so many of these words, I'm so sorry. When you look soft, people can take advantage of you. When you're sweet, when you're kind, when you're loving, people think that they can walk all over you and criticize every minuscule part of you. And then, on top of that, you're not allowed to be insecure. It's like the world picks at you raw. And then when you react emotionally to that rawness, to the pain of feeling so exposed, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly it's like, wow, how dare he not be secure in himself after we've attacked how fat he is. Meanwhile, the man has like 0 body percent fat. Like, what? Set Me Free is chaotic in a really good way. And based off of the poem that is on Jimin's torso in the music video, and based off of the lyrics, it's like, yes, I am chaotic. I have these flaws. I can be contradictory. I get a lot of hate and I get a lot of love. I'm all of these things because I am human. And in order to grow, I have to accept that is the case. I am human, and you can no longer dehumanize me anymore because I'm above that. This is such a great introduction to his solo career. Like, this encapsulates everything that he is. This says, I'm free. And when I come back from military enlistment, y'all better watch out. I don't give a fuck. And I'm so elated. I'm so excited. And I want more. I can't wait to have more of this. I can't wait to wander in the maze with him and to like hear him explore these different sides of him. This journey that he has taken us on, I am just so inspired. I'm so inspired to continue growing into myself. I am so inspired to accept the chaos and the mess of myself and of my life, of the downs, the lows, the bad nights, the days that feel like it's repeating over and over again. Because I have resilience, and at the end of that resilience comes freedom. In conclusion, we stan. I wish I wasn't lazy and I didn't give up on my Korean studies so I can say a loving, moving speech to Jimin directly about how much I love this album and how inspired I am from this album. But I the only thing I know how to say really in Korean is 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Well, I think I know more Korean than that, but like that's the only word that I can think of right now that like honestly summarizes how I feel. 감사합니다. That's it. Even if you're not into K-pop, please listen to Jimin. Just listen to the album. Read the lyrics, read the English translation. You don't need to know Korean. I don't really know Korean. I feel like you'll learn a little bit about yourself through it. Yeah. That's how I'm gonna end the video. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has set you free. Okay. Find their internet anonymity, not anonymity. Fuck!